You aren't failing because the path is hard. You aren't stuck because the mountain is too steep. You are failing because the sideshows are too delicious. The music is too sweet. The bread is too warm. And while you feast, the palace gates are closing. There is an ancient story of a great king who grew old without an heir. He sent messengers to every corner of the land with a proclamation. On the first day of the new moon, the gates of his palace would open. The first person to reach his throne would inherit the entire kingdom. Rich or poor, young or old, it did not matter. Only the first one through the gates would rule. The news spread like wildfire. Thousands of people dropped everything and began the journey. They traveled from villages and cities, from mountains and valleys. They all converged on the road leading to the palace. But the king, in his wisdom, had placed something along the path. Just before the final stretch to the palace gates, there was a magnificent fair. The royal feast, it was called. It had everything a person could desire. Stalls piled high with bread dripping with honey and golden butter. Roasted meats on spits, sending their aroma into the air. Musicians playing melodies that made feet tap and hearts soar. Games of chance and skill. Colorful tents and laughing performers. It was a paradise of pleasure. The first travelers reached the fair and stopped. They looked at the palace gates in the distance, still open, still waiting. They said to themselves, "One game won't hurt. One plate of bread won't delay me. I'll just rest for a moment and then continue." They sat down to eat. The food was delicious. They played a game. It was fun. They listened to the music. It was enchanting. And while they played and ate and laughed, the sun began to move across the sky. More travelers arrived. They too stopped. They too told themselves the same lie. Just one taste, just one game. Then I'll go. The afternoon wore on. The palace gates were still open. But the fare was intoxicating. The bread was sweet. The music was sweet. The games were addictive. One game became two. Two became 10. The sun began to sink toward the horizon. Among the thousands, there was one young man. He was poor. He was ordinary. He reached the fair and smelled the bread. He heard the music. He saw the laughing faces. His stomach growled. His feet ached. His heart longed for rest. But he did not stop. He looked at the palace gates. He looked at the sun. He said to himself, "I did not come here for bread. I came for a kingdom." He walked through the fair without tasting, without playing, without sitting. He kept his eyes fixed on the gates ahead. The sun set. The palace gates began to close. The people at the fair looked up in panic. They dropped their plates. They ran, but they were too late. The gates shut with a thunderous boom. They pounded on the wood. They begged. They wept. But the guards were silent. The young man, the one who did not stop, reached the gates just as they were closing. He slipped through the final crack. He walked down the long hall and knelt before the throne. The king smiled and placed the crown on his head. The others stood outside in the dark, clutching their honey-dripped bread, listening to the silence of their own regret. You are on a journey. You have a dream, a goal, a palace you are trying to reach. And the road is lined with fairs. They are everywhere. Social media, with its endless scroll of entertainment. Television, with its hypnotic glow. Parties and pleasures and distractions of every kind. They all whisper the same lie. Just one won't hurt. Just a moment. Just a taste. Then you'll continue. But one becomes two. Two becomes 10. The sun is moving. The gates are closing. And while you feast, your dream waits. And waits. And eventually, it stops waiting. Success is not blocked by difficulty. It is blocked by distraction. The path to the palace is not that long. The journey is not that hard. What stops you is not the mountain. It is the fair. It is the honey-dripped bread. It is the game that steals an hour that becomes a day, that becomes a year, it becomes a lifetime. The young man who reached the throne was not stronger or smarter or faster than the others. He was simply more focused. He kept his eyes fixed straight ahead. He refused to stop. He knew that the fair was a trap disguised as a blessing. What is your fair today? What distraction is whispering your name? What pleasure is promising that one moment won't matter? It matters. They all matter. The gates are closing. Keep your eyes on the palace. Do not stop. Do not sit. Do not taste. The throne is waiting, and it is worth more than all the bread in the world.